One of my favorite people to listen to and react to, just because I find him to be incredibly entertaining, is Dame Dash, right? Dame Dash has very opinionated thoughts on a lot of things with regard to business, money. Um, he talks about Jay Z a lot, and then he gets irritated at other people talking about Jay Z or asking him about Jay Z. Well, the most important thing that's ever happened from our perspective and what it is that we see Dame for is Jay Z, right? But Dame recently had a video on the channel that he used to drop on a regular basis. And on the video, it was titled something like "Rich people try to act poor and poor people try to act rich." And so I actually watched a lot of the video because, I'm going to tell y'all specifically when I watched and when I didn't watch. I watched a lot of the video, and I agreed with him to an extent, but I think there's context that needs to be added into it. So I wouldn't usually react to a lot of these type of videos on a Millionaire Morning Show, but we got to take it back to the money, and I think it's important to add context because one of the things that I see people say all the time, especially when they having conversations or they say, Anton, you shouldn't stunt, or Anton, you shouldn't show all your cars, or Anton, it don't matter if you paid a bunch of money for a watch and all of this other type of stuff. I feel like you're trying to minimize what it is that I do, and just because I got a blue collar and all of this. I worked at blue collar jobs too. I hustled too. I went broke in 2008 too. Man, nobody trying to stunt on you. We trying to inspire you, motivate you, and then give you the game of how it is that I was able to leverage those blue collar opportunities to then get into the spaces that I'm in now. But some people you can't save. And then they type dumb stuff in the comments and they say, yeah, because if Coach is good enough for Warren Buffett, then it's good enough for me. Right on a video where I say I'm never flying Coach again because I can afford to fly first class for the rest of my life and not have to worry about it, right? But the context is this: A, first of all, Warren Buffett doesn't fly Coach. Warren Buffett lives in a $750,000 house because he lives on his private plane. Private plane. Additional context: there's different types of rich people. And I try to break this down all the time, but this is a good example, I think, to add some additional context. Sorry, I got another laptop up here. To add some additional context as to why some people pretend to be poor that are actually rich, and why some people that are, or I'm sorry, some people that are rich are pretending to be poor, and some people that are technically poor or middle class projects themselves to be rich, and how you can tell the difference between the two, and then also show you the difference between different type of rich people. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the video, and then we're gonna go ahead and rock out.
I went and looked for press. So before I was manipulating press. I was paying money to be in the newspaper, which is what everyone else does. And then when I got tired of it, it was like, yo, this is bullshit. Being fake and phony and perceptions and false announcements, fuck all that. I'm not paying a publicist $10,000 a month. I'm gonna just do what I gotta do. My work is good, they're gonna look for me anyway. And I couldn't turn off the press. They were like, nah, you ain't going nowhere. You paid to be here, you wanted to be in the cameras, so you gotta take the good with the bad, period. And there's damage control, but I just didn't care, and I still don't. I don't pay for damage control. I don't have no explanations for somebody when they say something bad about me, because I don't care. Think what you want. It doesn't affect me.
You never pay for that with any of your artists?
Yeah. All day. That's what I'm saying. That's why I know. Press can be bought. Press can be manipulated. Every time I hear a company got sold, I know it's because they're in distress.
So let me break down what he's saying, because this is a preface to what he's going to say later. He said, yo, I used to buy press. So he used to buy visibility into whatever it was that he was doing, similar to the same way that they used to do what they call payola, right? So within the music industry, they would pay certain DJs to play their stuff. So it had nothing to do with whether or not you was the best at what you do. It had everything to do with whether or not you greased the right palms or you created the best marketing plan in order to ensure that your product got off the shelf. Now, I have no problem with this, right? I have no problem with people paying for visibility and press, because even when I develop an application for a client or something like that, or we put together a marketing thing, we often say at times, listen, you can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, what's the point of putting together this whole thing? If you don't have the marketing aspect behind what it is that we putting together, regardless of how good it is. And thank y'all for the super chats. I'm gonna be reading them shortly. If y'all don't have the marketing or the muscle behind it, then what good is it to have the best product? You to be the greatest rapper in the world and spitting 16s and I'm spitting meta fives to kill your metaphors and all of this other type of shit, soliloquies and and then don't nobody care about your stuff. And then you see a dude that come through and he just be singing, and then they junk pop off, and that's then you got to Post Malone on your hands, right? And it's because you don't know how to put people in a position to where those that see him will determine whether or not they want to rock with him long term, but that visibility comes along with it. But what Dame is saying is, listen, I got to a point where I said, forget all of that. I'm not paying for no press no more. The work is going to speak for itself. But the context that he's not adding is that he already had the wave that then substantiated that he didn't have to buy press anymore because he had a team that was rocking, largely based off of what Jay-Z was doing. And that's why when Jay-Z is no longer available, you see no more Dame, you see no more Beanie Siegel, you see no more Freeway, you see no more PD Crack, you see no more all of them other type of dudes because the Ye's and the Jay-Z's was carrying the visibility and then it stretched into everything else. It's almost like 50 Cent and G-Unit. Nobody is checking for fucking G-Unit. Nobody is really checking for Yayo, Banks, and Buck without the 50. But the 50 was the wave that then created the Yayo, Banks, and Buck. And so they didn't have to do the marketing because just mentioning 50 alone was the thing that got them popping. The question then became, was they popping enough or did they produce the best product to where it then continued to resonate with consumers when 50 was no longer pushing them? And so that's the context. And everything that we do, we got to get context because marketing isn't just throwing a bunch of money behind it. Marketing is having a long-term strategy as to how this thing is going to continue to grow even when you no longer have that one thing that created the most visibility for it. And marketing can be anything, right? But let's continue.
You know what I'm saying? So they try to flip it and make it look like it's something it's not. It's because you needed your bills paid. That's why you just gave up your company. You don't give up your company for any multiple unless it's a crazy multiple, unless you're in distress. And then you try to flip it, and there's companies like Rockware and places like that that were in distress, but all of a sudden they sold for 400 million.
There are companies that are in distress. There are people that get the most out of their companies and then they sell them once they see that it's another wave coming. But then there are people, and we actually coach people on this, even within the banking industry, there are people that are building up the company in order to have an exit strategy. For example, there are people that wind up selling apartment buildings, farms, selling the business that they've built up because they've retired or they want to get into a completely different business, right? We call this the cost benefit analysis, okay? And in the cost benefit analysis, they're evaluating their limited amount of time because think about it. You don't want to own everything. You want to spend the majority of your time doing the thing that means the most to you from a business perspective. So if you have A company, right, and then B company, let's say you started off with A company and then you built B company, and both A company and B company is both profitable. Now, I always advise my people to have an exit strategy. So where do you have to be and what do you have to hit, or what offer can somebody present to you that would then allow for you to actually get out of that business and say, you know what, that's a big enough number that makes sense. So you got A company, you got B company. You create A company first, B company second. B company because you've utilized strategies that you've learned from A company to grow B company. Now, B company has become significantly more profitable, but A company is taking a lot of your time because it takes a lot more oversight in order for A company to be as profitable as it is or to even be profitable at all. You get rid of A company to somebody that then wants to be a part of whatever that thing is, right? You get rid of A company because the cost benefit analysis is saying that I need to spend more time growing B company because that's where I should be spending the majority of my time. It doesn't mean that A company is in distress. It means that the exit strategy is calling for you to spend more time with B company because you have a limited amount of time as to the amount of things that you can do as far as ownership, management, or resources that you have to dedicate to a specific thing. People do it all the time. People sell their catalogs, not because their catalog is in distress. The exit strategy behind that business is saying that I want the lump sum of money so I can go and do something else that I'm planning for, or I can just go and live my life and just be happy and free. And I want the lump sum instead of taking the amount of money that I'm getting on residuals, because this person has a better plan for the company. Maybe they plan on marketing it differently and they want to put more of your catalog in movies in order to get the licensing deals and all of this other type of stuff. Disney bought Fox because they wanted to get Avatar and they wanted to get The Simpsons and all that other. The Fox catalog wasn't in distress. It was that Disney wanted to use it in order to beef up their streaming content so that they can better compete with Netflix and Apple Plus. And so when you hear this advice and you hear these people saying these things, they're only talking about it from their limited experience, and then we trust them and we believe him. And it's not that he's wrong, but he's using one example. He's saying Rockaware. Okay, I understand that everybody was falling out of love with Rockaware and all of this other type of stuff, and that was one example of a company in distress, and you got rid of that catalog, or your team got rid of that catalog, or Jay-Z got rid of that in order to make a healthy profit for $400 million. But the other side of it is that there's more companies and more context that allows for us to be able to parse through when you're supposed to sell, when you have an exit strategy, and when it makes the most sense for somebody to get rid of a company or get rid of a catalog or get rid of something in their portfolio in order to leverage all of that money to go into something that they seem to be a lot more profitable. So when y'all, again, this is money talk. This is the Millionaire Morning Show. This is different. This ain't no, oh, we just gonna listen to it. Oh, it makes sense. We taking YouTube talking points. This ain't that. This is the Millionaire Morning Show. We break things down to a science based off of our lived experiences, based off of what was communicated to us, so that we then can use the information to make better decisions in our own lives. Let's continue to hear what he has to say.
You know what I'm saying? But they was losing money. And I know that for a fact. You know, and I look at it like, that's hilarious how they twist it. The twist masters be killing me.
Yeah, because I remember when I came to the house and I told you, I was like, yo, they're saying you had like 250 million, and you were laughing at that.
Like, where's 250 million? That's what I'm saying. I've been in Forbes and they said I got 400 million. I'm like, now all you did was get me hot. Now the feds is on me now because I didn't pay taxes on 400 million. That's what happened. I'm like, I don't even understand that.
Now the feds is on me.
Yeah, I started having a tax problem when they started talking about my bread.
Now, this is what he's saying as the precursor to going into the rich people want to be presented as poor and poor people want to be presented as rich argument, right? Now, listen to the context that he's saying. He said, I've been in Forbes. They said I had $250 million. Well, first and foremost, I hate when I see people say that they saying this on their net worth on the internet. The internet don't know. The internet has no clue. And just because it says that your net worth is $250 million does not mean that you have $250 million in cash. That would be the dumbest thing that I've ever seen anybody do in my entire life. And if somebody got $250 million in cash, I would have to question how they were able to even become rich in the first place. Because that's the dumbest thing that you can't save or sell your way to wealth. You can't save your way to wealth, right? But then listen to what he said. He said, when Forbes started putting me in there, that's the thing that jammed me up, because that's when I started having tax problems. Listen to what he's saying. When Forbes put me in there, that's the thing that jammed him up, because he then started having tax problems. Now, what is that communicating to me, right? A, either his accountant ain't worth shit, or B, let's just call a spade, doing shady business on the side as far as fudging the numbers, because you can't have tax problems if you ain't got tax problems. You can't have tax problems if you don't have, if the numbers make sense and your bookkeeping is tight and you've actually been able to truly justify what's going on inside of your business, and you've been paying your taxes and you're on time. And I understand, listen, if you're a year or 2 years behind, that's normal for business people. A lot of dudes do they file what we call a, what is it called? Basically, every year they file to where they don't have to actually do their taxes until like September or something throughout the year. They file an extension. Okay? If you behind or something like that, that's a completely different conversation. But you can't jam me up on something that I'm not having a problem with. You can't jam me up. I'm not, listen, the reason why I feel so confident showing my money and showing my worth is because I've been audited before and I had no problems. Hey, listen, look through the books. This is where I keep all of my documentation. It's in my cloud folder. I'll share it with you guys. Also, this is how I do my bookkeeping. And these are the people that actually justify or go over my bookkeeping to make sure that I got things straight. Listen, any month you need, I'm not worried about it because all of my income is legit. I even show my W-2s inside of the Patreon. Shout out to the bag chasers. I show my bank account because I don't worry about what's coming in and going out because I can actually justify the amount of money that I make, and my taxes is going to be straight because I look at everything from a business perspective. So you can't jam me up on something that I'm not jammable on. You know what I'm saying? So that's the context. He's saying that, yo, a lot of people want to pretend like they ain't got nothing because they don't want nobody looking through their books and trying to figure out where it is that it's at. Listen to what's being communicated.
Because if they talking about your bread on the newspaper and you ain't pay taxes for the bread they sell.
And you are correct, Connie. Even if you file an extension, you still have to make sure all your taxes is paid by April 15th. And it doesn't mean that these guys doesn't have their taxes paid. What it means is they're just trying to make sure that they go over all of the documentation to make sure everything is good. If you don't have your taxes paid by April 15th, then obviously you're going to start getting penalties and all that other type of stuff. Let me preface this live stream by also saying that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm just parsing through the information based off of how it is that I live my own life. You got to make the decision for yourself. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Reading super chats throughout the show. Let's continue.
Flags to go, how he got 400 million, he ain't paid no taxes.
No taxes on that.
Well, it's just, let me look under the hood now. It just makes you hot. In the street when you hustle, niggas ain't supposed to say they got bread. They supposed to say, I'm fucked up.
Think about it. He's equating this to a street nigga. When you in the streets or whatever, and when you got bread, they try not to make themselves a target. They try not to get audited by the IRS because even if you're doing crime, bet you didn't know that, you still got to pay your taxes on the profits that come along with the money. So even if they can't jam you up on that, they can jam you up from a financial perspective. So that's a way that people do things that's actually not on the up and up. And I can't find myself in that space. I'm not about to be getting caught up with that nonsense. He's using street analogy, and this is one of the things, listen, I get it. He's not wrong at all. He's not wrong. I just think that there needs to be additional context because I want y'all to stop thinking like street niggas and start thinking like people that operate like business people. Stop thinking street and stop equating it from a street dude perspective and start thinking like business people. You don't have to hide when you're not moving scandalous, when you ain't tripping off of nothing. You don't have to hide or you don't have to start pretending when you're not doing nothing that you're not supposed to do. And so when people say, oh, rich people, it depends on the type of rich person you are. If you be Big Meech from BMF, yeah, you probably should not have put the world is yours on a highway sign in Atlanta going into Atlanta in order to advertise what it is that you got going on. If you a legit guy that is committing fraud or Medicare fraud or tax fraud, or you took a PPP loan when you wasn't supposed to take it, yeah, you should probably shut the fuck up. And then there's also rich people that are millionaires that actually don't make a lot of income. They're millionaires on paper in which they are trying to maintain or substantiate a certain lifestyle that allows for them to live for the rest of their life. They may have a house that they have or a couple different houses that they have. They got one that they live in that they own, and one is an income property in which they probably make a couple extra $1,000 a month off of that may be paid off or may not be paid off. And so their net worth may be 1.5 or $2 million when you include their 401k and whatever it is that they got going on in savings. They can't go out there and buy no Lamborghini. They can't buy no S-Class. They can't buy no Porsche. They can't go and fly first class everywhere that they go, because just because you are a millionaire does not mean that you still can't live a middle class lifestyle, because you will go broke trying to keep up with somebody like me, because I make a lot of money. So my millionaire and your millionaire is two different millionaires, because the lifestyle and the income will then determine what it is that you can do. Or even if you're looking at things from a business perspective, if you can even write off certain things, because I flew to Dallas specifically to do business, record content, look at real estate, do a lot of different things. So that entire Dallas trip, Even the person that is my co-pilot, Rita, right? And she's my assistant and she actually works for me and she's taking care of business and she's overseeing things and managing my calendar. And when y'all email her, y'all, she's the one that y'all talk to on the email initially before y'all get to me. All of that stuff, I need her. All of that is an act. You went to Dallas because you wanted to go and have a good time and go and watch the Dallas Cowboys or the Dallas Mavericks. I went to Dallas in order to work and take care of business. So it's two different types of lifestyles. You see what I'm saying? And so when people don't know how money moves and how money talks, it's easy for them to just take a general talking point and say, well, rich people is wealth is quiet. Wealth is quiet. No, wealth is fucking loud. It's loud as hell. Loud as hell.
Most of the rich niggas say I'm fucked up. You ask a nigga, I ain't got it, I'm fucked up.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
But niggas that be fucked up, those are the ones that want to make it rain all day, and because they fucked up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like when you fucked up, you pretend you rich, and when you rich, you pretend you broke.
Pretend you broke.
It's the laws. I don't know why it happens that way. But mostly rich people don't want people to know that they got money because you don't want nobody trying to rob you.
Listen to what he's saying. Rich people don't want people to know they got money because they don't want nobody to try to rob them. That's a whole nother mentality from the type of people that I'm surrounding myself around. Real talk.
Cups, you turn into a bullseye.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, he's the richest nigga in the room. Not everybody's a thief or a robber, but some people do it for a living.
So now you got to ask yourself, what the fuck type of room am I in where I'm in person, and if I'm the richest person in the room, they trying to rob me? No. Think about that for a second. Because it's somebody on the internet that's going to refer back to Dame Dash's video, and they're going to say, Anton, well, Dame Dash said, well, rich people try to act poor, and poor people try to act rich. Well, what the fuck type of room are you in to where you got to worry about somebody trying to rob you?
They looking at the one that got the most. You become a target.
Bullseye.
And everyone else, every man, any real man wants to be number one. So I don't care if you walk into a room, you're supposed to be the richest, you think everybody love you, they saying hi, but they hate you because you taking their girl. They want to do anything they could so that they could be in position. Trust me on that. That was the story of my life. Everybody always wants to look like they're in position, and I'll be like, all right. You know what I'm saying? They don't want. Everybody wants to look like the boss. All right, you be the boss.
Cap. That's the story of his life. And now that he's learning a lesson, and the tax man started jamming him up. Because what I seen on camera was, this is a bottle. This is the bottle. Big pimpin', spinning cheese. We be big pimpin'. Oh, let me make sure this is closed. Throwing it on the girls. Ballin'. You know this. So he's learning, he's evolving, he's learning a lesson. But I seen him with the bottles in his hand with the cheese, maybe smoking everybody want a ball. That's what I seen. Don't switch up now. No, switch up now, but also add the additional context. You know what I'm saying?
Or at least tell everybody you the boss. Fuck it. Damn. You go be the target.
You gonna be the target.
A real rich man don't be wanting nobody to know. Yeah, you're a marked man if everybody knows your finances. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
So you never did, like, with the press, when they would try to put your business out there like that, you never like went at them and told them like, why you doing that? Like,
I mean, I saw it, but I did it publicly. I turned the thing on them and was like, yo, why you keep saying this? I did that to the Daily News and the thing. So,
Meanwhile, Richard Branson and Larry Ellison, y'all don't even know who that is. They have whole parties on buying whole islands and partying up like ever. The rooms that they in, they not worried about you. They ain't worried about you.
I would do that just because I don't like them smiling in my face and then trying to shit on me behind my back or publicly and then act like we're gonna be cool.
It's just crazy that people get paid for that though. They get paid.
And that they could look in the mirror and be happy with them. That's what I told her. I remember I told her, like, you happy? Is your parents proud of you that you went to college to come out here and lie about people? You know what I'm saying? Like, how could you even look at yourself and feel good about what you do? And some people think, it was money before anything, but integrity is really and respect. That's why that's my wealth.
Cap. That's what people say. You know why people didn't start switching up and saying that? Because it was all about that bag before. It was all about that bag before, and now it's respect over everything. You got to be a real nigga. Listen, I don't care nothing about the money. It's respect over. No. I don't need your respect. I only need the respect of the people that surround me. I don't need the respect of everybody because everybody ain't gonna love you anyway. All right. What I do want, without any kind of pushback whatsoever, is my bag. I want my money and I want it now. The bill collectors don't give a fuck about whether you respect them or not. They will come and get their money though. They don't care nothing about your respect. The repo man, he don't care nothing about your respect. He coming to get that fucking car though. Keep your respect. Give me my money. Give me my money.
You know what I'm saying? Not all money's good money.
Not all money's good money. But shit, a lot of people feel like all money's good money.
I don't care about a lot of people.
I've seen that.
That's the
Meanwhile, Diddy, he on a yacht somewhere, getting photographed by the paparazzi. Every other weekend, it seemed like he on a yacht with a little young hoe.
reason why the
I've
world.
seen that.
That's the reason why the world
I've
is in the shape
experienced
it's
that.
in.
Yeah, I've experienced that.
We all have. But like you said, the majority of the world. But I don't consider myself the majority. I consider myself the minority and proud of it.
Absolutely.
Like, I've never been the kind of person that walks in the room and want to have the same exact thing on that everyone else has on. I actually want to be completely opposite. If I see everybody else wearing something or doing.
All right, we mined out as much as we could out of this video. But the point of this video is he is right. I will say that. He is right. But he's right within a certain context, within a certain room, around certain people, in certain environments, and based off of whether or not you're doing good business and you want to up and up. But when you move a little bit differently, right, and you start to get in different rooms and you're around certain people, hopefully you grow to the point to where you're not worried about or looking over your back in order to make sure whether or not you got to act poor so that they don't rob you or look at you as a target and things like that. The goal is to be able to live life on your own terms, and you may have to divest yourself from a certain circle of people. You may have to divest yourself against a certain family. You may have to pull back from certain environments. You may have to then disappear out of certain conversations. But that don't mean that I'm supposed to change up who I am when I'm taking care of business and doing what it is that I'm supposed to do. It just means that I need to get around other people that think, see, feel, do, and then operate in the same way that I do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not switching up around nobody. I'm going to just get a whole nother group of somebodies that then can appreciate whether or not we bag chasers or not. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat for y'all to be able to tap into the Patreon.